can you marry the two, advising and coaching? And if so, how can you do that? Which I think you kind of already answered that. But let's say there is an advisor who is implementing coaching into their time with the students, but they also want to be able to give some advice. How can you do that well? Can that be done?
Right.
That kind of.
Yeah. It's a great question. And what I have found to be the most useful and what I would recommend is to advise first and then coach second.
Mm,
So what that means is to give the agenda, the things that need to be done, the advice, the things that you literally see forward for the person you're working with. Put it out there right from the beginning. This is what I see. This is what I see you need to do.
mm,
This is my agenda for this meeting. What are your thoughts? How do you want to make it your own?
mm,
Let's look at the insight for you. Because the thing with coaching, in the session I was listening to this morning with the client, she had an interesting pattern that you could hear as a coach. We're sitting there listening to a recording, and it's all known. Like it's all permission based. Like the person knew she was being recorded, knew that we were going to be using it for this. All of this is permission based. And in listening to it, it became really clear there was a pattern you could hear for the client. And the interesting thing was asking the coach, here's a pattern we're hearing, we're seeing. Where else does this show up in the client's life?
mm,
And the coach said, well, it shows up everywhere. Everywhere this shows up. And that's what we're looking for as a coach, is we're looking for an awareness of an insight, of a pattern, of something that the client needs to learn. And as coaches, our job isn't to know the answer to what the client needs to do next. Our job as a coach is to hear it and become curious about it and hold space for the client to answer it for themselves.
mhm,
We're not experts in action steps. We're not experts in, oh, this is the next thing that needs to happen. No, we're just experts in curiosity,
mm,
in awareness raising, and insight producing. And so these are the things that keep it in the coaching realm and avoid we need to be experts or have, training in a lot of mental health issues. That's not for coaches. Those are for trained counselors and therapists. And when I was coaching, in my coaching practice, there were counselors and therapists who I partnered with. And if there was ever a question I could go to and ask them, I'm working with a student, this is what's coming up. And oftentimes the counselors or therapists would say, yeah, you're fine. Like, continue. But there were times when they said, no, like, okay, that's outside. This is something else is going on. And then when I talked to my clients about it, parents about it, most of the time, the client I was working with was also working with a therapist or working with a counselor or working with a psychologist. And it was all known, and that is best practice. It is not best practice to think that only one helping profession will solve everything, or that people only really need to work with only one, and that's it. And that's not best practice. So, I mean, what I'm seeing advisors, the people I've trained, the people who go through our training program, there seems to be an initial surprise, I think, around the misconception of what coaching is and isn't. I think a lot of people come into it thinking, oh, I'm just going to get like even more knowledge to impart to the students I work with on how they can study better or how they can motivate themselves better, how they can do this better. But the thing about coaching, the beautiful thing about coaching when I was working with students, is I found very quickly it wasn't as much about the knowledge or the ideas of growth mindset, fixed mindset, different motivation styles, different strengths, and understanding of internal worlds and those kinds of things. These are all important, and it's not as much giving information or giving tools as much as it's about becoming curious and helping students take stuff away. That coaching is as much about taking away limiting beliefs, disempowering perspectives, dealing with inner critics, all of those kind of things. And, human beings are naturally creative and resourceful. And when we tap into that as coaches, you can trust your client's brilliance. You can trust your own brilliance, your own instincts as a coach. And this to me is, the experience when advisors, anyone going through coach training, myself included, when I experienced it myself, it was one of the best experiences I've ever had personally and professionally in growth. And that truly is what coaching offers. It's a path, it's an avenue for that. I think that addresses it. I think that gets there, or at least starts this conversation.
Yeah.
And we'll create more content and videos around, the difference, academic life coaching and, the difference between coaching and counseling. We'll talk to therapists and counselors too and get their thoughts on this, but at least this is a beginning, maybe a place for a resource for people to get to.
Yeah, this is great, John. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and thank you, Ashley. I feel like, and so for all the community, Ashley is our provost. She's the one who holds it down with the trainers, the scheduling, working with universities and courses, and making sure that the back end is still functioning as smoothly, and doing the accreditations through the ICF, the health board, and through Oregon, the U.S. Department of Education. Ashley is awesome. So for those of you, if you haven't, there she is. Thanks, Ashley. And thanks everybody for watching and listening for these things. I really enjoy making them.
This is so good. This was so good. This reminds me of just when I first heard about Coach Training EDU, because academic life coaching was the main focus. And so it's just like bringing me back like 9 or 10 years ago of just like, I don't know, just the passion and the heart and everything. And so this gave me just like another boost of energy for today too. Just like, let's go, like, let's get off of here and bust this out. So thank you, John. This was awesome.
It's super cool. I really feel very grateful for this work and grateful to be in this space and this team. And I think that the world is changing. The world is changing. Knowledge is at our fingertips. The premium, the most valuable stuff is the self-awareness and understanding your own inner mental, emotional space and what you're able to produce. And I feel like coaching is exactly suited to help young people and old people, help people in general figure that out and explore it in safe ways. So here we are.